This video is about how power changes the brain. And when I say it changes the brain, we mean that quite literally on a neurological level, that the exposure or accumulation of power actually changes how our brain operates. And of course, this has many implications for both individual happiness and societal happiness. In fact, what we tend to see is that power changes the brain to reduce both empathy and sensibility. So this is not a totally new idea. In fact, in history, it's been thought of, and there's a historian, Henry Adams, who said that power is sort of a tumor that ends by killing the victim's sympathies. So in other words, it's something that sort of eats away at you until you're not really able to relate to other people. And interestingly, neuroscience is starting to find this to be true. Now, keep in mind, this is not the case all the time. There are certainly people that have power and manage it quite well. But a study by Sukhvinder Obhi, not sure I said that right, I'll include information down below, is a neuroscientist at McMaster University, put the heads of both the powerful and the not so powerful in a transcranial magnetic stimulation machine. This almost sounds like a made-up device. I don't know really what it does, but it's something that detects brain activity. He found that power does in fact impair or hinder a specific neural process called mirroring. Now, mirroring has to do with mirror neurons. This was originally discovered in monkeys when an Italian scientist, I forget his name, but I can probably include it down below, was looking at a monkey, and he would like pick up his pencil, the scientist would, not the monkey, and the monkey would like pick something up, or the researcher would eat and the monkey would make that gesture. And so they started looking at the brains of higher order primates like us, and they found that we have these mirror neurons that act at kind of a subconscious level, that when I express a certain emotion, it's transmitted in milliseconds to you through mirror neurons. And the mirror neurons means that you're actually mirroring the emotional expression or even the activity that I'm doing. So if I start doing this, subconsciously, some part of your brain is activating that has to do with similar movement muscles. If I make that really surprised face, or I make this really like angry face, in some level, mirror neurons are fine. So that doesn't mean you're going to adopt the full expression, but you're resonating with it at some point, and that's where our social empathy comes from. So this mirroring process can be hindered or impaired through the accumulation of power. This is not the first time that's been discovered, though. Dacher Keltner, a psychologist, actually calls it the power paradox, where he says the paradox is that typically the attributes that lead people to get power in social institutions, things like empathy, perspective taking, the ability to compromise, the ability to serve altruistically, often deteriorate once you get to power. So you can imagine you are very pro-social, so you're doing behavior that advances the tribe or the other people around you. You're compromising, you're fair, you're just. And then once you get the power, those same qualities that led you to get there often deteriorate. It's kind of a paradox. I'll reference another 2006 study where participants were asked to draw the letter E on their forehead for other people to view. Now, this is the important part. They're trying to get other people to view it. So you would need to draw it backwards, right? Because if I were to draw an E, this is how an E looks to me, a capital E. There's a line in the middle. So if I stuck that on my forehead, it would, of course, be backwards to you. And it may help if I share an image of that. So the challenge here is that it requires to step outside and see yourself from the other person's viewpoint. Now, they did this experiment in a way that would prime people to feel more or less powerful, and those feeling more powerful were 3 times more likely to draw the E the right way for themselves, which meant that it was the wrong way for everyone else. So by priming someone to feel more powerful, it actually reduced their ability to step out and see things from another's perspective. And in other words, it created a blind spot, which made them have less empathy. It's pretty incredible how they were able to manipulate the experiment for that. Other experiments have shown that people feeling powerful do worse at identifying what someone in a picture is feeling or guessing about how someone else may interpret a remark. So what have we learned? And I'm referencing some of the notes in front of me, so I'm looking down. But what we see is that at an actual neurological level or neurological functioning, power can impair certain neural processes associated with empathy. So it actually, when we're feeling powerful, or maybe in a longer term we've accumulated power, it's actually quite hard for us to empathize and resonate or relate to other people. So what can be done? I say there's really 2 things. The first is awareness. So just awareness of this neurological phenomenon can help you when you are in power, if you are in power, in whatever capacity, could be in a family, a smaller group, or at a larger scale. Awareness brings choice. And so if you have an awareness of this implicit bias or this neurological phenomenon, you can take steps to intentionally counteract it. So that's the first part. The second part is occasionally putting yourself in states where you feel a bit more powerless or a bit more humbled. So that can be as simple as remembering back to a time when you first started your job, or you first started whatever it is you're doing, or you were still in school and you didn't really feel all that powerful. It's kind of intentionally cultivating a bit more humility and taking yourself down a lot. Of course, you don't want to beat yourself up or spend too much time there, but it's important that we don't lose touch with, or don't lose that capacity for sensing into what it's like to be powerless, and occasionally sort of checking ourselves, so to speak, or applying a little bit of an antidote to help some of the negative consequences that are associated with the accumulation of power. And then, of course, there are other practices that go along with that. But generally speaking, if you are in a position of power, it may be advisable for you once in a while to reflect on your own powerlessness and sort of check in on that feeling, and also, again, cultivate an awareness of how having that power can really create subconscious biases or shifts in how you perceive the world and you perceive those around you. So now, of course, there are many implications of this video when you think about power structure in our society, and should the people in charge be in charge, and are they sociopaths? Oftentimes, yes, at least in politics, in my humble opinion. But I think that is a pretty big rabbit hole to go down for this video. So we'll just leave it at that brief neuroscience with, of course, some personal applications if you are in power or know some people in your life who are in power in any social institution, small or large. So I hope this video was helpful. As always on this channel, you can find science-based tools to help you be happier in both work and life. Here's a video that YouTube suggests you'll like. And of course, down below, there are plenty of additional resources. So that's all for now. This has been Jackson Kirchis. I'll see you next time.